Well, tomorrow marks the 65th anniversary of the Sharpeville massacre. On this tragic day, 5,000 Sharpeville community members embarked on a march against apartheid pass laws. 69 people lost their lives and 180 people were injured when police shot at the unarmed and non-violent protesters. This event sparked many other protests on that day, including the Langa massacre, and is regarded as a turning point in our country's fight for human rights and democracy. Well, to commemorate and to reflect on this historic day and pay tribute to the many lives that were lost this morning, we are joined in studio by Gogo Tsoana Nhlapo, who is Chief Executive Officer of the Sharpeville Foundation. It's so good to have you. Welcome to Morning Live.
Thank you, Leah.
So, you know, we look back at the day 65 years ago. It's unbelievable. I can't believe when I read 65 years, I was like, this is where we're at already in history. We also celebrate or commemorate, I suppose, I'm not sure, the human rights of South Africa, because we look at where we are right now. And help me sort of understand, how do you feel about the situation here in South Africa right now when we talk about human rights?
I think we dropped the ball somewhere. Yeah. You know, after democracy, when everybody was in a rainbow, we forgot to look back to what price did we pay for this freedom, right? And as such, we let things to get to the state that they are, you know, because if we are said to be the most unequal country in the world, we didn't do something right, you know, so we deviated from the mandate of the 1994, but worse off, we deviated from the cause that the people who died in 1960 were fighting for. Yeah. Because they wanted human rights, they wanted equal rights, you know, and if we find ourselves here when we seem to be worse off, then I think we need to take a look at ourselves. Where did we lose the plot?
Yeah, and I'm so glad you said that, because at the crux of it all is there was the fight for equality, and the fight to be recognized, and the fight to have these basic rights. And yet, when we look at the South Africa today, and as you mentioned, the most unequal society, and a basic right would be clean running water, would be access to good education, access to the simplest, most basic human rights that we're still not getting right.
We're failing even at that, you know. Yeah.
And that's worrying. It is very, very worrying. And where do you believe we went wrong?
I think I'm going to be biased on this one, Leanne. I think we went wrong when we almost sanitized the truth, right? Because if we name this day the way they are, like Shovel Day, Youth Day, Be Soweto Day, then on those days when they come, we'll always look back. Right now, if you come across a child on the street and ask them what the holiday is about, it's just a holiday, you know? They don't get a sense of ownership or remembrance of where. So if we kept our struggle in everybody's mind, then we'll be careful not to redo the same mistakes that were done in the past. But now we seem like we're in the loop and we don't have a direction of where we're going.
Yeah. What about unfinished justice? Do you think?
Yes,
and I know that's a sensitive subject, because I sometimes ask myself, the question is, we changed the name to Human Rights Day. Meantime, it's the Sharpeville massacre. And meantime, we look at the numbers of people, 180 injured, 69 people losing their lives. And yet, in that day, there's still no justice for anything that happened.
Even those numbers are not a true reflection of it, right? At the moment, based on the research that was done by the professors from USA who came to do research here, we found at the National Archives that actually it was about 95 people that died instantly, right?
Wow.
And if we have 69 graves, Leanne, what happens to the 26? Where are they, right?
Where are they?
Yes, and the people who were injured is 235. So there was a lot of cover-up. And we were quick to jump into human rights without looking back to say, at least let's find the truth. And I think maybe in some way or form, us overlooking the truth is the reason why we seem to be chasing the justice that we can't get fulfilled.
Well, we had the TRC Commission, and we understand that, and people told their stories. But when we look around in South Africa, it's almost in a way we've taken a plaster and put it over gaping wounds that are gaping.
Yes.
And the problem is that salt is being added to these wounds constantly, every single day
in
people's lived realities. And this is, you say a cover-up, and this is where the worry comes in.
Yes.
Is that the cover-up may implicate the wrong people, and hence let's kept it covered up. And this people know this, and that's perhaps what's going on.
Yeah, and you know, we can't really forgive somebody who doesn't tell the truth. And when we talk about the TRC, we're talking about 95 people, let's say 69, right? Because that's the official one. But at the TRC, there were 3 people from Sharpeville. That doesn't even begin to scrape the surface of what the truth is about. So if we find ourselves here and we don't understand where we're going, it's because we let that plaster that we are talking about, and now the wound is seeping, and it doesn't seem like anybody has got control over it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we look at 30 years into democracy, and we know 30 years, it really, in the greater scheme of things, is not necessarily a long time.
Yeah.
Okay, but we have watched things in front of our eyes, maybe not necessarily getting too much better. I mean, obviously life has improved for a lot of people, but the majority are still struggling. And we look back at the struggles in Sharpeville. That was 65 years ago. They were fighting for a different cause, but my focus keeps on going to sort of the education, because these were, I mean, we're talking about 12-year-olds that were killed on that day.
Yes.
And we are still seeing 12-year-olds at this time fighting for better education and dropping out of a system that doesn't support them. I mean, let's perhaps look at that as an angle in this as well.
We really do need a mirror to ourselves as South Africa. I think the mandate post-94 was the rainbow, and we needed that unity, right? And now we've forged this unity, but now we need a next mandate or a goal, right? To say if we're going to fix these things, because it doesn't seem like everybody has something in control. Everything is seeping. You're talking about the education. People, some drop out, right? Others make it past university and still can't get jobs. So there's a lot of things that are not okay in South Africa, and we seem to be dancing it all away.
Yeah. Let's look at the Sharpeville community. I mean, because it is that, there we go. So that speaks 1,000 words. I mean, you know, when we look at the events of that day and the change that we see in Sharpeville now, what's happened? Let's talk about it.
Somebody said if one of those people who were shot and killed that day were to wake up today, they'll still find their way around in Sharpeville. That's how much it hasn't changed that much, right? We have to honor these people, Leanne. They didn't go out of their homes to give of their lives, but their lives were taken nonetheless. So if we do right by our history, then we'll always remember that we cannot find ourselves here 30 years post-democracy.
Yeah, and that is, I mean, imagine, wake up, it's exactly the same and nothing has changed. And that is what you fight for. You gave your life up for change. Obviously, at the center of it all was the pass law. And that's where we do say, you know, we welcome that, and we'll never, ever look down on how much the country has changed, because that's a big, big deal, and that at the heart of all of it was. But when we still look at the smaller nuances, which are not small, they are big. Police brutality at that time. We look at police brutality in this day and age, and we can almost draw
parallels.
Definitely. And this is where we got to honestly stop sometimes in history and compare where we're at. Not always look back, but compare how far we've come forward. And we need to ask those questions. So tonight you're actually doing a night vigil.
Yes, we are.
To honor the lives. Talk to me about this.
Okay, so because of the human rights label, the people of Sharpeville never get an opportunity to tell their story about what happened that day, because it's a celebration and everybody is coming to celebrate human rights. So we decided as the Sharpeville community, as the Sharpeville Foundation, to say, you know what, on the 20th of March, these people were still alive, right? They knew that they were going to the march tomorrow, but they needed some, they had determination, right? So we commemorate those people on the 20th as a night vigil. There were women in 1960 who gathered in prayer. So that's what we're doing, to say everybody, doesn't matter what denomination, Sangoma, Christian, whatever, but if you believe that there's some justice that needs to be, you know, then we gather and we pray. So it's overnight, and in the morning we do what we call a blood walk. After the massacre happened, there was a cloud that formed over Sharpeville, almost washing the blood away, right? And at the bottom of the township, there's a dam there that has always been there for as long as Sharpeville has existed. So that the older people believe that the people's blood is at the bottom of that dam.
Wow.
So in the morning before sunrise, then we take this walk. It's called a blood walk. We almost trace that blood with flowers to go and give off these flowers for the people whose name didn't make it to history, and even those that died. And after that, we go back, and we're done. And then everybody else can come and celebrate human rights.
What a beautiful symbolic day and morning, and very, very heartfelt.
Yeah.
The story of the cloud,
it's true, yeah.
So that actually happens.
It really is true, yeah.
Cloud formed over it, and
yeah, and it was said to be a very sunny day. But after that, when the shock settled and all the cops had been removed, then this cloud then mysteriously from nowhere formed, and it almost washed away the blood away.
That's incredibly powerful.
Yeah.
I mean, you mentioned young people, and we've changed the name of the day to the Human Rights Day. But do you think young people? I can speak for my children because I know that this is part of the history syllabus, and they do learn about Sharpeville. In fact, I know that my kids go and visit it, and they've done all of those things. Is enough done, though, to remember this day?
I don't think we should remember it only today, right? Because if you go to Sharpeville now, we're cleaning up, the people are coming, you know, but any other day, you will not go to the monument and find the real story. You'll not get an opportunity to talk to the people because they're still alive. You know, some people still live with the wounds that were shot on that day. So I think we need to Sharpeville needs to live post this. If we say it was a turning point and the whole world looked to South Africa and said something is not right because of what happened, we need to keep that story going. Yeah. Right? Yeah.
And I suppose one of the ways of keeping the story going, and the good news on this was being declared a UNESCO World Heritage Site. And that's a big thing. And it was recognized under the theme Human Rights, Liberation and Reconciliation, Nelson Mandela Legacy Site. Has that done much for the area?
Not much.
No, okay.
But hopefully we'll get...
I love your honesty. Well, we can giggle about it, but we got to get this out there. I mean, this is something that people travel from all over the world to come and see. If you know you're going to a UNESCO Heritage Site, I mean, it's a big deal.
We have to be custodians, Leon. If people want to learn about human rights from all over the world, whether it's in South Africa, they need to come to Sharpeville and find us ready, right? And so the infrastructure must support all of that. We have these monuments, but there's nothing that's reflective of what we are meant to teach the world as the descendants of those people that died.
Yeah. Well, tomorrow, what time is that walk happening?
5 a.m.
At 5 a.m.
Yes.
All right. So we'll be kind of close to going on air. So perhaps maybe we'll have a reporter there or something.
That would be great.
If not, believe me, my heart will be there.
I know.
And checking on that weather and seeing if maybe it does rain again.
It will rain.
It'll rain.
Yes.
Okay, there we go. 65th anniversary of the Sharpeville massacre tomorrow. And Gogo Tsoana Nhlapo, the Chief Executive Officer of Sharpeville Foundation, reflecting on this anniversary. And, of course, a number of events to honour those who lost their lives will be taking place.